On March 24, 2015, GermanWings Flight 9525 was scheduled from Barcelona El Prat Airport in Spain to Düsseldorf Airport in Germany. The A320 operating the flight crashed roughly 54 nautical miles northwest of Nice in the French Alps, killing all 150 occupants. The crash was deliberately caused by the co-pilot, Andreas Lubitz, who had previously been treated for suicidal tendencies and declared unfit to work by his doctor. Lubitz kept this information from his employer and instead reported for duty. Shortly after reaching cruise altitude, and while the captain was out of the cockpit, Lubitz locked the cockpit door and initiated a controlled descent that continued until the aircraft hit a mountainside. The captain had attempted to breach the flight deck door with an axe after desperately banging on the door. The CVR of Flight 9525 is one of the most chilling recordings, as you can faintly hear the captain and passengers in distress. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 was scheduled to fly from Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, Tangerang, to Depati Amir Airport, Pangkal Pinang, in Indonesia. 13 minutes after takeoff with 181 passengers and 8 crew on board, the Boeing 737 MAX operating the route crashed into the Java Sea, killing all the occupants. The investigation revealed that a new software function in the MKS system caused the aircraft to nose down. Investigators concluded that an external device on the aircraft, the angle of attack sensor, was miscalibrated due to improper maintenance and sent erroneous data to MKS. During the flight, the sensor sent erroneous data to the MKS, which pushed the nose of the aircraft down. While investigators concluded that the pilots did not properly follow the checklist, Boeing was ultimately held responsible, as the issues with the MKS system had been intentionally omitted by Boeing from aircraft documentation for aircrews, so the Lion Air pilots did not know about it, or what it could do. Similar issues occurred just months later on Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which also crashed with no survivors. As a result, Boeing 737 MAX aircraft were grounded worldwide. It also led to diminishing Boeing's reputation. On August 31, 1988, Delta Airlines Flight 1141 was scheduled to fly from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, to Salt Lake City, Utah. The Boeing 727 operating the flight crashed during takeoff, resulting in 14 deaths and 76 injuries. The NTSB ultimately determined that the crew hadn't lowered the flaps and slats before takeoff, resulting from the failure of the crew to operate with sterile cockpit procedures. The regulations specifically prohibit crew member performance of non-essential duties or activities while the aircraft is involved in taxi, takeoff, landing, and all other flight operations conducted below 10,000 feet. The flight becomes a twist of irony and morbidly comedic as the crew was discussing a Continental Airlines flight that crashed for similar reasons. It was during these conversations that the pilots glossed over important procedures and led to the crash of the flight. It goes to show that the phrase, "Aviation laws are written in blood," is gospel truth in the airline world.
We forgot something on our first leg today. We forgot to discuss about the dating habits of our flight attendants so we could get it on the recorder, in case we crashed, then the media would have some kind of a juicy tidbit.
Is that right? Oh, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that Continental that crashed in Denver. Did you read that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they were talking about the dating habits of one of the flight attendants. It just had a real nice conversation. Laughed, We got to leave something for our wife and children to listen to.
We were just talking yesterday, about 191 seems to be the classic airline crash that the news media goes for every time. And here, that DC, that was a crash due to weather and all that. It wasn't guys goofing around. American's DC-10 up in Chicago was due to faulty maintenance. The airplane flipped over on its back, crashed, killed 4 people. You never hear about that.
Shoulder harness.
They're on. 15 green light.
Flight control.
Cross bottoms are checked.
Nav instrument.
They're set. Engine failure. We got an engine failure. We're not going to make it. 941. Oh, power!
On August 12, 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123 was scheduled to fly from Tokyo to Osaka, Japan. 12 minutes into the flight, the Boeing 747 flying the route suffered a severe structural failure and decompression. After flying under minimal control for 32 minutes, the 747 crashed in the area of Mount Takamagahara, 54 nautical miles from Tokyo. The crash killed all 15 crew members and 505 of the 509 passengers on board. 20 to 50 passengers had survived the initial crash, but died due to their serious injuries a few hours later, while awaiting rescue, leaving only 4 survivors. Japan's Aircraft Accident Investigation Commission and the NTSB determined that the structural failure was caused by a faulty repair by Boeing technicians following a tailstrike incident 7 years earlier. When the faulty repair eventually failed, it resulted in a rapid decompression that ripped off a large portion of the tail and caused the loss of all onboard hydraulic systems, disabling the aircraft's flight controls. The recording of the crew during the flight's final moments is one of the most disturbing, as the confusion, fear, and rush is felt in their voices. Flight 123 was one of the deadliest single aircraft disasters in history. On the morning of September 11, 2001, United Flight 93 was scheduled to fly from Newark International Airport in New Jersey to San Francisco International Airport in California. 46 minutes into the flight, United 93 was hijacked by 4 Al-Qaeda terrorists. The hijackers murdered 1 passenger, stormed the cockpit, and struggled with the pilots as controllers on the ground listened in. Ziad Jarrah, who had trained as a pilot, took control of the aircraft and diverted it back toward the East Coast. The hijackers planned to crash the plane into a federal government building in the national capital of Washington, D.C. The mission became a partial failure when the passengers fought back, trying to take the controls from the terrorists, and crashed in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, preventing them from reaching Al-Qaeda's intended target, but killing everyone aboard the flight. It was the only flight in the attack that didn't make it to its intended target. In spite of the tragic ending, it became the symbol of an act of valor on the part of the passengers charging into the direction of certain death to overcome the hijackers on board. The recordings recovered are the most chilling of the flights that day.
They want just so we can stand them on back.
Captain, I would like to order the main medium. We are on board and are going to the airport.